It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Been to Tesco and I picked up another 3 bottles for £6.50. Now it's really funny because the last time I went and the last time I made a video about this, they were still £6 and that was only 3 weeks ago. So 3 bottles of lager, the big 660 milliliter bottles for £6, but they've since gone to £6.50 for 3 bottles of lager. Some of you in the comments box say that some Tesco stores are charging 3 bottles of bomber size lager for £7, so it's even more expensive. I imagine that's kind of like London way, perhaps. So today's video is going to be a video on unfiltered lager. I was looking at the shelves and I was thinking, there's two we can put up against one another. So this is Stella Artois premium lager beer, but it's their unfiltered version. And this beer, it's actually 620 milliliters, not 660. It's 5% ABV and brewed in the UK by AB InBev Limited. Now, the talk was when this beer first came out, it was all brewed at Camden Town in London. Whether that's still the case, please let me know in the comments box. But the last time I tried this, I thought it was a fantastic beer. Really good beer. So that's Stella Unfiltered. And I was looking at this. This one is 660 milliliters, 4.8% ABV. It's the Birra Moretti Unfiltered premium lager, made with a hint of Italian sea salt. So 2 unfiltered lagers for you from probably 2 of the biggest brewing companies in the world now, probably AB InBev and then Heineken that owns this. Here's the bottle cap. So without further ado then, let's not mess about anymore. Let's get these beers out into a glass and see what we get. Let's start off with the Moretti. Moretti in a brown bottle, 40 milliliters more of beer. But you wouldn't really tell, would you? Well, I suppose maybe you would. Very clever bottling by Stella to produce a beer that looks like a bomber bottle, doesn't it? 620 milliliters, 40 milliliter more beer here in the Moretti. The other bottle I picked that up for myself, for my own personal consumption. I enjoyed it on Friday night, and that was a bottle of Krombacher. Probably one of my favourite lagers of all time, Krombacher. So here we go. Beer in the glass, we got a 2-finger white head, good levels of carbonation, hazy looking beer. Unfiltered, isn't it? Good carbonation, head sticking around, unfiltered lager. Let's pour the Stella Artois. Now, I think the reason why they produced this at 5% ABV was that when I was growing up, when I was in my early 20s, Stella Artois in the UK used to be 5.2. So here in my glass, 5.2% ABV. And I believe years ago it was even stronger. Years ago, apparently Stella Artois used to be 6% ABV. So I was drinking it in my 20s at 5.2% ABV. Up until recently, it went all the way down to 4.6% ABV. And people just weren't having it. They weren't having it. They used to have an advert on a telly called Reassuringly Expensive. And it was a strong beer, and they kind of took it down to 4.6% ABV, and and really kind of ruined the beer. So, of course, sales probably went down. They brought out a 5% version, made it unfiltered. Beer in the glass, and we got a 1 finger whitehead, good levels of carbonation, different amounts of carbonation, and it's nice and hazy. Let's hold it up against the top the Moretti up. Let's top it up against the Moretti then. Oh, put it up against the Moretti. To be honest, I think the Moretti looks a bit better. It looks probably a little bit more hazy and a little bit more of a golden colour, I would say. The other thing I'm going to say about Stella, in that green glass bottle, is that it never used to be skunky. When I poured the beer, little bit of skunkiness coming through, little bit of, well, skunk. It's called light strike in our industry. Green glass bottle lets in light from the supermarket shelf, lighting in the supermarket, and of course the sunshine, and it skunks the beer. Those lovely fragrant citrusy hops turn very quickly into something that, well, is skunky. It's a chemical effect that happens with the sunlight. Right, let's get the aroma then on Stella. It smells quite nice, to be honest. That skunkiness has more or less disappeared. It was on the initial pour of the beer. Quite grainy, quite malty and grainy with a nice hop finish to it, like a bit of lemon, bit of citrus, bit of lemon, bit of stinging nettle. Birra Moretti. I prefer the aroma of the Stella. A little bit more fragrance, a little bit more going on. The Moretti, I'd say a little bit more drier, a little bit more peppery, a little bit more spicy. Okay, let's get into the Stella. Cheers, everybody. I still like it. I still like it. It's a very, very, I think it was the Stella Artois at 4.6% ABV as well. That red labelled Stella, the original Stella, if you like, or the leading brand of Stella. I think it tasted bad as well. I think it was a nasty, chemically like tasting beer, and I think they've definitely brought out this beer for people who care, for people who want to taste something in their beer. Okay, there's a certain amount of people, I know because I live with family members, whatever is put in front of them or whatever is cheapest they will drink, and they're governed by price, and you have to accept that in life. Some of us have no choice. Some of us have no choice but to kind of like, and when that kind of is ingrained into you, when you're kind of like ingrained into buying the cheapest thing all of the time, it just becomes second nature. It becomes second nature. So I don't even think Stella Artois, the 4.6% version, is a tasty beer anymore. It's quite horrible actually. But this, This, I like this. I could buy 3 bottles of this for £6.50 and enjoy it on a Friday night at 5% ABV. It's an enjoyable lager. You get the bitterness on the back end from the hops. You get that little bit of stinging nettle. You get the grain from the malt. It's a decent beer. A decent beer. It's a little bit skunky, don't get me wrong. It is a little bit skunky. If you want to research light strike in beer, do that maybe after this review. You can learn all about skunky beer then. Birra Moretti. See, that's lovely too. That's lovely in its own right too. You get the grain there. It seems it's a little bit less harsh on the hops, but we said that in the aroma, didn't we? It's less punchy on the aroma. It's less punchy with the hops in the taste. It's more kind of like peppery, spicy, a little bit earthy. Maybe softer water. Maybe the water's a little bit softer. It just seems a little bit more refreshing. But I really like the Stella at the same time. But they're two different beers. They really are. They look more or less the same. They look more or less the same, but they're both very, very different. You get a hint of that salt as well in the Birra Moretti. So, which one's best? Stella. A little bit more skunky too. It's that brown bottle, I think, that's saving the Birra Moretti. So after 10 minutes of reviewing the beers, better lacing on the Stella, thinner lacing on the Birra Moretti, Stella de Mer, however you pronounce it. Both unfiltered lagers, both look pretty decent. Taste test though, if I had to choose, I like the Stella for what it is. It's more of a Pilsner. It's more of a bitter Pilsner. It's more about the hops, but it's got a skunky finish to it. Birra Moretti is just a little bit more rounded. I'm very tempted to use the word smoother, but I'm going to call it a little bit more well-rounded. You're getting a little bit more of the malt in the Birra Moretti, and it's balancing off with them kind of peppery, spicy, stinging nettle hops quite well. And there's that little touch of salt in there as well, which makes it a decent lager. Both nicely carbonated beers, both very drinkable. I think the water's slightly softer in the Birra Moretti. I'm going to say Birra Moretti. Even though I would drink 3 bottles of the Stella Unfiltered, I think the Birra Moretti just wins this out. And it wins it out from being less skunky, and it wins it out by being a little bit more rounded. So I'm going to give the Stella Unfiltered a 7 out of 10. And they're going to give the Birra Moretti an Unfiltered an 8 out of 10. I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it mildly entertaining. and informative, if you like. That's what we're here to do. We're trying to kind of like filter out, filter out these beers and see what's the best. I hope you liked the video. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.